every like Mexican kid has that story of like helping your dad with like fixing something, and he'd be like, "Get me the Phillips head screwdriver," and you're like, "Here's a ratchet," because you don't know what the fuck each tool is.
Right.
Well, I had to learn them in 2 fucking languages.
Just like, what is something culturally that your parents gave you that allowed you to kind of find success? Like a good thing, basically. What's a good thing your parents taught you? That's a fast way to say it. So for my thing, it would be, and this is going to probably be common, so sorry guys, you're going to need to pick something else, and it's persistence. Because my parents are not very smart when it comes to a lot of Americanized type things, let alone that we grew up in the 90s, early 90s, late 00s, where it's like, the internet had just become a thing. Yeah. Like, my parents didn't know how to help me Google things, like as simple as that is for us now. Mm-hmm. Like, or even how to connect the internet or go through internet problems. But everything like that mindset of just like, I'm going to keep fucking with it till I get it right. That's what my parents taught me.
Ooh, that one's hard. Because if it's not that, right? Because my thing, I'll take it this way, and this will be kind of a standpoint I can take that's different than everybody else, is they emphasized English as a language. Now, you can say what you want about colonization, all that stuff, white supremacy, patriarchy, all that stuff. My dad, as smart as he was, Spanish was his first language. And that sounded weird in that way. As smart as he was, goddamn Spanish. No, he was a smart kid growing up, but his first language was Spanish in the 1950s. And what ended up happening was they didn't have the resources to give him the education he needed, so they put him in special ed. Now, mind you, that was just because they didn't have anybody who spoke the language. So he recognized that right away and was like, oh shit, I don't want to put my kids at a disadvantage. The other thing that he also emphasized was about education was because he ended up going to a pretty good high school, and he had another high school that was more technical, that was a little more college prep. Mm-hmm. And he had a friend that went there, and his high school, they go, yeah, you're going to be like a civil engineer, like a city engineer at best. Like, you're going to just work in the city and never do anything more than that. Now, mind you, my dad liked tinkering with computers, still does, built his own computer when he was like 55, like his first one anyway, and plays games. He's a hardcore gamer, all that stuff.
Hello.
Hi, out there. They said, okay, well, yeah, you do that. You're just going to be like a janitor and you're going to do that. But then his friend, who was dumber than him, had resources and was like, look, we're going to get this kid to go to, I believe it was UCLA, and that guy ended up going to UCLA, and he's like an engineer now. But my dad was smarter than him and had a hunger for technology. And so he was like, learn English and always know the new technology, always be aware of it. And he didn't quite understand like coding when it came to be like during the MySpace era, but if he understood that was where things were going, he would have drilled that in me. And I know that for a fact. And then, but yeah, the English thing, which was take the hardest English classes, learn English as well as you can, as good as you can, I almost said, as well as you can, because it makes everything easier. And his argument was, what?
You dumb motherfucker.
Yes. Clearly that didn't work. I learned English good.
You didn't learn shit.
No, but those classes were really fucking hard, huh?
But his thing was, and his premise, and the reason why I say it as such and why it is important was because this was his viewpoint, and that people don't understand. But when I say it like this from the guy it's coming from, a kid born in the 50s, the game is played in English.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. The game is played in English. You could be a great mathematician. You could be a great scientist. You could be a great, historian. But if you don't know how to relay it properly in the language that is most dominant in this country, it won't mean a damn thing. Yeah. So you have to learn English, and you have to learn it well. And you have to learn to speak clearly. He didn't have an accent by the time I was alive, but I've never had an accent because of that. It was always like we talked white, if you will, and I've been accused of that, quote unquote.
You do.
I do. I don't have an accent. I don't have your accent.
No.
And I know it's given me advantages that I don't even recognize. My lighter skin and my clear voice. I know a cop has been disarmed by the fact that I look the way I do and speak the way I speak. I had a cop in Santa Barbara put the hand on the holster walking up to my car. I said, "Hi, how you doing?" Completely disarmed. So that thing saved me a lot of trouble. And that sounds kind of racist, but we're in a racist society. We're in a 1950s
It's a
upbringing.
realistic thing. It's being realistic.
Right. In a 1950s society going into a 90s, early 2000s society, it's something that ended up paying off, even though I wish it didn't have to. But that's mine.
JJ?
Sort of similar to both of yours. I think the thing that my dad instilled in me really hard was self-reliance.
Oh,
Because so I mentioned earlier when I was talking about like their history, my dad was, for all intents and purposes, a migrant worker. And all of their family, all of his brothers and sisters and my grandparents worked the fields and picked stuff. My grandparents didn't own a car. So my dad was like, this is bullshit. I don't want to keep picking stuff.
Right.
So he
It's hard work, man.
Yeah.
he hung out with the dude that drove the truck. He's like, this dude's got a cushy gig. So he's like, I hung out with him and I would still pick and everything. But whenever he needed like an extra set of hands to like help him unload, I'll come with you.
Moving
And-
up.
Yeah. No. And he's like, I learned how to drive by watching him. Like, no one taught me how to drive. No one was there to teach me.
Right.
Even if like my parents could afford a teacher, like they weren't going to spend that money to teach one kid to drive.
Right. Yeah.
So he's like, so I learned how to drive for myself. And like, he would always tell me things like that. Like, my dad knows how to do a lot of things. He's really handy. And he's like, I had to learn all that myself. Like,
Right.
Self-taught.
so yeah, this is something that he would always like drill into me and tell me like, no one taught me. So
I'm not going to teach you, pendejo. Get out of here.
He was always, my dad, bless his heart, was always a very bad teacher because he's very impatient. Like,
Yeah, well, because he taught himself, and in the time frame of learning gets shrunk to knowing it.
yeah,
I assume that's my dad kind of too.
and, Like every like Mexican kid has that story of like helping your dad with like fixing something, and he'd be like, "Get me the Phillips head screwdriver," and you're like, "Here's a ratchet,"
Yeah.
because you don't know what the fuck each tool is.
Right.
Well, I had to learn them in 2 fucking languages. So, so he's like, "Give me a desarmador," and I'm like, "Okay, that's."
Is that anything
That's
like
the screwdriver.
La chingadera? Is anything like that?
That's-
It's like, that's not a thing.
El cojito ese, el que
Yeah.
hace así.
It just became a series of noises and clicks.
Not the right name. That happened to me, yo.
But yeah, he would always like the stereotypical story of like I would bring back the wrong tool or the wrong size or whatever, and I was like,
I was about to say, like, the measurements would be really tough
yeah,
at that point.
tráeme
Yeah, because
una
you're also
de
converting
siete
to
octavos.
metric and
Yeah.
Metrical
imperial.
a pies. Metric to feet was the nightmare I always lived with.
Tráeme uno de 7 octavos, and I would bring him like a 3/16. I don't know what any of these fractions are in Spanish. I'm going to school in English, Dad. I learned English not from you. I did what you told me to. I learned English by myself from watching cartoons, and now you're throwing like math at me. That's numbers.
I'm not even in that grade yet. There's actually a good comedian, Freddie Soto, has a great bit about that, right? Where he's like, "Mijo, go find me the thing next to the side on the left by the middle." It's like, what? Where is it?
Yeah, see,
He's
I
like,
would have understood that way better than siete octavos. Like, I don't know what that is.
My grandpa is old school mechanic. He used to do all the service for his own trucks because they used to have like 18 wheelers in my family, and they used to haul gasoline around the island. So on Sundays, I used to help them, repair shit. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? But I used to have the same fucking problem about, they're teaching me feet in school because there's a conversion right here in Puerto Rico, but you still use fucking, metric.
was Puerto Rican metric?
I won't put yeah.
Okay.
So we went backwards. That's fucking stupid.
Occult stuff dropped something that is universal with everybody, every Hispanic I know. Fucking learning.
Wait, oh no, it's restarting. Did he tell you it was restarting?
I think so. I just did this.
He's
Going
gone
back.
forever.
Going back. He's still here.
Bullshit.
Learning English from cartoons is just old reliable. Like, yo,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
There's a ton of friends. I
Cable
learned-
TV, baby.
Not even PBS. A lot of my friends.
Oh, we didn't get PBS.
Plaza Sesamo.
Yeah,
or
we didn't get
Sesame Street.
PBS either.
I have Plaza Sésamo, but I have Mexican Plaza Sésamo. So it wasn't Big Bird. It was Eduardo.
It was the green one, right?
Yes, it was fucking awesome because they got the big titty lady back there.
Yeah.
And then you should be like, B, C. And I'm like, yeah, my ABCs. Yeah. You know, like, I'm
Wait, what big titty lady?
Oh, you didn't get her in.
I didn't get her. I had Maria.
Oh, no.
And
We got
Jeff
something
or
better
whoever.
than yeah, man. We got this, like, cocoa butter lady. Oh, amazing.
Cocoa butter lady.
Shit, man. I'm more in tune with the Mexican side.
Oh, Plaza Sesamo. I didn't
Plaza
have.
Sésamo,
I had
yeah.
Big Bird. You know, like.
Eduardo, I still remember.
But no, I had a lot of friends that had to learn from PBS. That's really what it was, Mr. Rogers and stuff like that. And so there's actually two that come to mind. It was both Jesuses. It was Jesus Diaz and Jesus Barragan, if I remember. And one of them didn't speak a word of English. Like, we would talk to him and he'd be like, see, like, and I remember him being like rail thin, really tiny dude, right? And we would talk to him in full sense. He hung with us, but I'd be like, "What do you think, Jesus?" See, and
it's just like the coolest person to hang out with.
yeah, Jesus, yeah, he was super cool. Yeah, because
He's
Jesus
down for whatever.
and Jesus Barragan was an
I
asshole
asked
because
him,
he
like,
spoke.
bro, you want to rob this store? And he's like, see, down, bro.
Man, he used to be like,
Well,
let's go home.
well, Jesus Barragan was like mean. He was like a mean, like he spoke Spanish and he had known more English, but he was mean in both Spanish and English.
Yeah,
so fuck
that's
that
how
dude.
it happens.
You know,
It happens.
but Jesus Diaz was just like, see, and I'm like, fuck yeah, and I think, and I swear to
How hard is it to learn
Jesus.
Spanish from the family? You don't learn good Spanish.
You don't learn
No,
good
you don't
Spanish.
learn good
You can't take a Spanish class using familial
All
Spanish.
right. So, funny story about me. My dad never liked like calling us stupid. Like he never called us menso and
Stupido.
yeah,
Yeah.
none of those
That's
words.
good.
But he still felt like we deserved it from time to time.
Oh.
But instead of calling us stupid, he just made up a word and he would call us menchaco. It wasn't until I was like in 7th fucking grade that I found out that's not a fucking word.
That's so loving. That's so loving. That's like, I want to call you a fucking dumbass, but I don't have the heart to tell you that, so I'm gonna lay low with this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, it shows a lot of heart. No, it shows compassion and patience, man. I guess my mom used to call me retard.
not if I was trying to get him a tool. No.
My mom used to.
That was not a
He shotgun that shit, bro.
Oh my God. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Manscaped Dad. I'm Sammy Gonzalez, aka The Maxcellence. This and many of our shows here are brought to you by Manscaped. Did you know that 4 million people, over 4 million people, 40 million, well, they're working on it, have joined the Manscaped community, and we are definitely a big part of the Manscaped community. They have sponsored us for quite some time now. They just renewed our contract, and they have a plethora of options available, so you can go check out manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. If you use coupon code MEX20, you can get 20% off and free shipping off of your entire order in this America. Oh my God. That's such a deal. Now, when they first started the relationship, they gave us the Performance Package 4.0, which came with the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, the Magic Mat, the Shed Travel Bag, the Manscaped Boxers. I just bought me a 3 pair of the Boxers using the coupon code MEX20 because those things do not chafe. I went to Disneyland. My balls were fine. My thighs were fine. Big boys, big ladies. They're good for the thigh chub rub. So you can get all these Manscaped products, and then of course they gave us the other packages, the ultra premium packages with the shampoo and conditioner, the body wash, the hydrating body spray, the deodorant, and the lip balm. So keep everything moist and dry and all sorts of delightfully scented, and fuck off with parabens, right, JJ?
Yeah.
Parabens can fuck off because there's no parabens in most of these things, if not all of them. I didn't check all the labels. I don't have that kind of time. But Manscaped.com. Be sure to use coupon code MEX20 for 20% off. Father's Day is coming up. There's also a limited time deal there, and there's other things that are coming out. And very soon, we are going to do a giveaway of one of their bigger packages. They actually just sent it on their way, so it is coming. And we'll give you away. It comes with like these 2 things here. It comes with these 2 things here. I believe it comes with the underwear, and it comes with the Lawnmower 4.0. So if you want that stuff, Be sure to be in touch with the Mexcellence, follow the Mexcellence, and be sure in the meantime to use coupon code MEX20 for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Manscaped, JJ, what happens when you use Manscaped?
Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you. We'll be right back after these messages or continue with the show whenever I edit this in. It's fine. I always change it up.
My mom, I know it's not like it's not used. What's
Not the word
It's not the
anymore.
word right now. But when because I learned English at such a young age due to just cable TV, because we didn't grow up with cable. So what we would do, we would steal cable in the neighborhood from somebody that had cable that was way well off than us. So we used to steal their cable, and I used to see everything, man. Like I saw RoboCop when I was 5, shit like that on HBO. I saw Skinner Max when I was 6. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
I didn't get the porn channels, but definitely my parents were not like avoidant of violence because they're like, we grew up in violence.
Yeah, no, exactly. My mom saw me watching RoboCop, and she would say, "Oh shit, we got RoboCop on. That's dope." And she was just go, "I gotta work 2 jobs, so good luck."
I think I watched Terminator 2 like probably the most of the ages between like 5
I think
and
they
8.
showed it to him like my kindergarten class because it was all Mexican.
What was it? Tremors. There's 3 movies that are fucking Tremors and Jaws. And Jaws has a special relationship with me because it's the only movie that I have ever bonded with my dad. Because my dad...
Because scary shark scary.
No, because the thing is...
on a beach, dude.
I know,
It's their natural enemy.
It's like, and I had encounters with shark, by the way, so I'm freaked out about it. I want to swim with them, but I hate them at the same time. The whole thing is because of my dad's work. He used to come in really late, and back in the day when I used to stay home with him, you know, I was with his wife, and I would just sleep. And I'm like, oh, I don't see my dad. I'm just staying here the whole fucking week. I don't get to see him. And one time I catch him when he came like at 3 a.m. just sweating from working the truck. And he just turned like TBS or some shit like that back in the day. And they were playing Jaws. And I woke up. It's like, Dad. And he's like, man, I'm too tired. Just sit here. And it was when the shark jumps the fucking boat and it's Quint. And you see bloods, and my dad's not giving a fuck. My dad's like, that's fucking awesome. And I'm looking at my dad, and I know I shouldn't be looking at this because I'm like 5 or something. I'm like, this is fucking that's really cool, man.
The world is cruel and unfair. This is awesome. This is cruel and unfair.
This is awesome. And then the one time that my dad went like, just sit here and just let's watch this. It's the most treasured memory that I have about him. That's why Jaws, I think to a very Freudian level, is my favorite movie ever.
Oh yeah.
And ever since there, I started just like, I need to learn English. Because nobody wants to teach me English. Because even the teachers suck at teaching me English.
Right.
So if I want a fucking future outside this godforsaken hellhole that I call an island, you know, I need to learn English.
Which is so funny about Puerto Rico because it's a hellhole of an island, but at this moment you motherfuckers leave, you got the flags everywhere. Tattooed. Oh yeah, puppy!
Hey, will you go back to the island? Fuck no!
Mexicans do the same shit. They're not Mexican in Mexico.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were talking about, like the blood and everything, I was like, I think my parents also didn't care. It's because like I'd help my grandpa kill chickens and goats.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same here. My girlfriend freaks out that I sing like I seen my grandfather kill pigs. Fucking my grandma just chopped chicken. I think the craziest thing that I ever saw in the what's it called in English again? Fuck, I forgot.
Which one?
The farm?
The farm. Yeah. It was a horse died because of a lightning strike.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because in the mountains there's so much, the weather's so unpredictable and it rains all the time. Lightning struck the fucking backyard and that's how this whole just paralyzed and go dead like this. Oh, no. I'm like, what happened to the horse? And my grandfather was just cursing in Spanish like, fuck, that horse cost me like $800. I'm like, no, he must be alive. And when we went there, the horse was like this, just
That is awful.
Toasty.
oh gosh, remember that.
So then, like, my ex was a vegan, and then one of our first dates, it was with emo. Like, do you remember?
Yeah.
So he's from Nigeria, and it's the same kind of immigrant thing. And then randomly, we just started talking about chickens.
Yeah,
and then we talked about the spinning move to kill the chicken.
Break their neck.
You nunchuck a chicken.
And the look on her face where it was like, yeah, dude, like you just
Just do this and just. Yeah, man. Like,
and before you answer the question,
yeah, fucking go ahead.
no, but like,
Yeah.
but I think that's why I had the upbringing that I had versus y'all. Like, my dad did all that stuff. My dad killed the chickens. My dad picked the cotton he didn't pick cotton. He picked the apples and did the things and stuff. He saw how gross it was. The big thing for him was sheep shearing, because my grandpa used to do it by hand. And he used to remember the bugs and the sores that they'd get. And
the pus.
And all that stuff. He goes, it's gross work. He hated it as much as he has it as a pride point. And there was one time, this is like a year ago, my dad grows grapes in the backyard, and he's showing me, I'm like, super quick. He's like, this is how you prune them so that they can grow. And I'm like, you just have this knowledge? Like, yeah, I was 5. You don't forget when you do it or whatever, right? And so,
yeah, because you do it so much that it just becomes muscle memory,
right? And so, but with that upbringing of just that grossness of the
never hand me a
stuff,
chicken. Never give me a chicken,
because I will make it delicious. Right? And so, yeah, with that kind of little stuff, I don't think they wanted that type of violence in my life. And so at least when it came to farm work, he never wanted me to work in the farms. That was our threat. He would, because anytime we didn't do good in school, he'd be like, do you want to go work in the fucking farms, or do you want to go to juvie? The juvie court was down the street. I could always see it. I step out my door, I look right, there's juvenile courts. So it was either go to juvie or go to the fields. And we knew how fucking tough the fields were. We never forgot. And that kept me from acting out and acting up. And that also led to, and like the violent stuff, because he grew up with, like, you know, in the projects and stuff, and my mom did too. They didn't want me around that stuff. They didn't want that around me, so they did protect me. They shielded me around it, as opposed to being like, oh, he needs to have a taste of it, because I think deep down they wish they had a good chance, but then they made a better chance out of it. But they knew that the better chance I had, and the more protected, I guess, I was, the more I could slingshot myself further. So that's why learn English. That's why you can't watch The Simpsons, because I don't want you to be an asshole like Bart Simpson. That's why you don't watch SpongeBob, because he's in his underwear, and I don't want you to be a cochino. Like, just little. That's what they thought. And
for me, it was South Park, because I already knew a little bit of English.
I could understand South Park. I can't understand that one.
But I snuck South Park when I got to a certain age. I snuck Chappelle's Show when I was a damn teenager and stuff. There was a certain point where they let me have cable in my room, and I was able to watch
in my family
things.
at that point. Before my brothers, like all my cousins were much older, and I was like, "Fuck, they'll watch South Park. I want to watch this shit."
But like, I bet you my dad could probably kill a chicken and make it nice and delicious, but he just doesn't want to anymore. He doesn't eat anything other than filet mignon, and he doesn't eat anything other than chicken
what the
breast.
fuck, man? It's like, is your dad too good enough for?
No, because he grew up with the shitty cuts of meat. The goat and all that shit. He hated.
Like, Marco, you know what I'm talking about. Right? We both went like, what the fuck?
He hates.
I get your face, but I'm assuming you see the same reaction.
He hates gristle. He hates any sort of excess fat. He hates all that shit.
Those are the best parts.
No. But inversly, my mom will eat the cartilage out of every piece of bone ever.
If I ever fucking meet your dad, I'm gonna ask, what's your fucking problem with us? Are we not good enough for you, man?
Nah, man. There was one time his coworkers invited him to a fancy it was lamb dinner, and he's like, I've had so much lamb in my fucking life, I can't do it anymore.
It's not the same. They brine it. We don't Mexicans and we don't brine shit.
But he just doesn't fuck with it anymore.
Can we get to the last question? That's the thing that I introduced.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up with me. I'm gonna wrap it. For me, my mom being a teacher, the biggest thing that she introduced me is just a good education.
Yeah.
Not only, I always say I didn't grow up with a mom. I grew up with a teacher as a mom, because my mom was very strict with me on a lot of things, especially academically. If even I got a C, she would just hit me, and that's one. I get it. But that's one of the reasons why I had such a little bit at first a really hard relationship with her. Yeah, because it's like, fuck, I try my hardest in math, but the teacher's not explaining it in a way that I can understand. And when I come back home and I give you the fucking problem, you're horrible at math and English, but everything else is great, you know?
Yeah.
And it took me literally getting my first internet connection and started going, how the fuck do I do this math equation? And going at this dial-up speed, it's like literally in a little crappy picture showing me how to solve the problem for me to understand it.
Right.
Like, and that's the whole thing. And I'm gonna piggyback on everybody. It's like determination, all that shit, but it's always came down to education, because my grandfathers used to be in the sugar field canes. You know, and we didn't have any fucking cotton. We had a little bit, but our shit was sugar canes, and people would die in those fields of heat exhaustion all the time. And when I got really like, I don't want to study, I don't want to do this shit, my mom would first result, because my mom was menopausic at this time without she even knowing.
Right.
So her first reaction was to just hit the shit out of me. And over the years, she learned this, and she's like, man, that's the wrong way. I'm going to lose this kid. And then she's like, I'm not going to hit you this for your own well-being, but do you want to end up like your grandfather that's an alcoholic and he can't even say his name because he's so fucked up in the way that he grew up? And that automatically, I'm like, fuck that, I'm going to college.
Yeah.
Like, no, it like literally like snapped the shit out of me because I'm not going to the sugarcane fields. Like, I was once brought in a field day to cut sugarcane, and it was the most slavish shit I have ever experienced in my fucking life, because it was a fucking field trip where they're like, sugarcane fields now are processed by machine, but you guys get to cut it with this tiny ass machete. And you saw me with a fucking machete doing this, and I got to take that sugarcane, and it was delicious. And my mom, oh, didn't you have a great time? Yeah, but I was in the sun and I had to all do all this, and I'm like, I just did fucking manual labor,
dude. So there's a story online where the same thing happened to a bunch of black kids in the South picking cotton. Like his mom found unprocessed cotton in his pocket. He's like, where the fuck did you get this? He's like, a field trip. But my sister did the exact same thing with peaches. They went to a teacher's peach farm. Like, go pick all the peaches. They're like, we get to keep some, right?
Some, yeah,
they kept none.
Wow, that's fucked up.
No
at least I got like
peaches.
a big ass sugar cane.
That's a
and I
normal
cut that
thing.
motherfucker and I chew on it like it was Tabasco. I used to be like, yeah, my heritage.
Yeah, I see that one too.
You know, you've seen it, right? So, I hope
I've done it.
Oh, shit. So you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
You can get some at the market. You can get raw sugar cane and just chew on it.
And Jesus Christ, I'm so appreciative of shit like that. And coming to the States, I'm just appreciative of everything: power, water, so many
Power in Texas.
Only one time.
1 week. 1 week without power. 3 fucking months. I didn't bathe for 2 months, dude.
Dude, that's
Dude, come on. I was fucking nasty. I got my first real shower when I got here in November 1 from 2017. Like, I still go to...
Jump in the ocean at some point, man.
Yeah, with fucking salt. Have you ever done it? Have you ever gone super sweaty to salt water, then come up?
No, that's not.
You don't do that shit,
You
brother.
shake off the salt crust.
No, that's not how it works.
Yo,
like a
that was
cartoon.
Picasso, the worst Asian of the fucking planet you were gonna have there. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that I'm just grateful. And to this day, I work in the game industry, and the coolest thing that my mom taught me is like, if you don't know, there's no shame in asking for help and learning from somebody new, and asking for somebody to teach you. You know, there's no shame in that game.
Yeah, I would never learn that from my dad. That's a good one.
Yeah, I learned the exact opposite from my dad.